the agenda as written.
I would like to ask to have something added to the agenda,
Ask to add.
and it's a legal question concerning the way we, took some action at one of the meetings on the tax collector's fee.
What meeting was it? Remember how
Oh,
long?
was that the organizational meeting?
I wouldn't have been here then.
Right.
Good thing because I don't remember it if it was,
Yeah.
so you must not have been.
With that addition, do I hear a motion?
I've so moved.
Second.
Been regularly moved and second, that the agenda be adopted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. So carried. Opening of cleanup dedication.
Okay, we got one. There were 3 we requested, only one came back. Thomasanos, I guess you guys do. You will do it first. Okay.
Only one bid?
Yeah, I sent 3 out. Here's
We only got one
the
last year
permit.
too.
Yeah,
Right.
we did. This
Most
one
of them
lady
can't give a
requested both
manpower.
times,
Yeah.
and she didn't send back either time. Waste management. She didn't send it back. There's, no. Here's the legal, we got the proof.
You got the bid bond, you got the
Mhm.
CDL compliance, certificate of compliance for alcohol awareness, and the power of attorney. And the bid was $43.65.
4365.
7 more or less 20-yard containers for C&D, $385 per 20-yard container. 4 more or less 20-yard containers for metals, $80 per 20-yard container. And the first one, there's 7 provided, 4 on that, and then 4 of 6 workers supplied by the contractor, $225 per 1 worker, and there's 6 employees there. So that's what includes in that number of $43.65. That should be enough containers and everything, right?
Yes.
That's for May 17th, 2014, between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's the advertised date and time.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Is that Thomasano?
Yes, it is.
Yep. Anybody wanna take a look? If you-
He did a good job. Last year, the year before. He did a good job.
Did I hear that right? Did they get $225 per worker,
I think that's,
per day?
yeah, isn't that right?
That's it.
That's it.
50-some bucks an hour? Yep.
Whatever
No,
number of hours.
no.
You're in the wrong line of work.
No.
There's more hours than
Yeah.
that. How many, what was the hours again?
It's $25.
Isn't it?
Eight to
It goes
four.
8 to
8 to
4.
4, so 8 to 4. What's that?
30-some bucks.
It's about 30 an hour. A little less than 30, actually.
But they usually pull in either the day before or come in like an hour before
When they
sometimes.
drop the containers, then they have to come back afterwards and take them and.
Well, the total bid is almost, well, it's actually a little less.
I mean, that's just a breakdown of the bid, so Donnie, what it's saying is the bid is the total amount, and that's what it includes.
Don't forget, he's gotta pay his men to come up from Stroudsburg
On
or
Saturday.
wherever, all the way up there, and then he's gonna pay them to go back.
Okay.
So all we're really concerned with would be the amount, the total amount, and the number of yard containers we're getting.
I make a motion, we accept the bid of PM Palmazzano LLC.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. You wanna sign it?
Well,
So where's the signature?
Right. I think there's only one, right?
There's only one.
Minutes approved of February 5th, 2014. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept it as written.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Aye.
Passed. 1-0.
Okay, got it. Okay. Right,
Okay, Judy.
meetings. Alright, what do we have? The first one is a low volume paved road maintenance grant
Yeah.
in Wilkes-Barre, May 6th and 7th, I believe it looks like here, 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, what's their cost on that, or is
No
that?
cost.
No cost on that?
And what place is that at in Wilkes-Barre?
It doesn't say.
It says Wilkes-Barre.
And Mary Ann, it's not, it's the same thing we went to last year.
It says,
Down in, where was it? Down
It was
in,
down there by
the jail.
Yeah, down
it
by
says townships are required to have at least one person attend one of these trainings every 5 years.
That's right.
to maintain
we were to one just
eligibility.
last year.
We was to one just last year.
So you-
They haven't got their work together yet about a road pavement. I talked to the lady from Dirt and Gravel today, and it's to certify you for 5 years to be on the grant for Dirt and Gravel road. It's nothing to do with the paving of the roads,
Okay,
okay?
so does anyone need to go for certification, or,
No,
no, you're all certified already?
we're all certified,
All certified, okay.
okay.
You already signed in.
Sorry?
You already signed in.
Oh, thank you.
Continue on.
Okay, the next one would be drainage, key to roads that last, in Lackawaxen Township on May 15th, a Thursday from 8 AM to 2 PM.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
Okay, all wanna go to that one?
yeah, I'll go to that.
All to attend. Okay.
Okay. You made it in here under the wire. This is now,
thought it was 7:30.
you're not,
I am?
yeah.
Well, thank you. I just want to introduce myself in case anybody doesn't know me, but my name's Jeannie Brown, and I'm from the Greenbrier Historical Society. This year I'm president for 2014, and I wanted to just give some of our new officers and,
Thank you.
yeah, there's 3 copies there, I don't have one for everybody. And just to let you know, the little changes
Anybody
that are
wants
made
one,
for
I
2004.
got it on, it came in the book.
Hmm?
This all came in the book, so
Oh,
if
yeah,
anybody, if
yeah.
anybody wants one, it's
Here, you put it in our file.
Your file.
Yes,
Okay.
for your files. Again, I wanna thank you for your support, in the previous years and this year also, and I wanted to hand out our, 2013 annual report, which kinda sums up our year and what we did. Again, I only have like 3 copies, and I have a package for, Ms. Eagle? Thank you. Okay, that just highlights our accomplishments and, what activities we're involved in and how we've serviced the, community for the year, so, it's just our overview from last year. Also, the calendar of events, it's hot off the press and I don't have the little card, but I do have, just the draft copy that went to the print. So, on our calendar this year, we are celebrating the 175th anniversary of Greene Township, which I think we've mentioned before. There'll be new displays at the hall, and our GDS Fair booth will have prominent displays and exhibits in that, featuring the Greene Township history. On October 6th, we have a membership meeting that is celebrating the anniversary with some speakers and an anniversary cake, and you'll get a special invitation to that, so we hope you mark your calendars for that. And that's it. If there's any questions or anything I can help you with. If not, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Alright, no, let's see.
Short and sweet.
Okay, time to check.
Me?
Sewer complaint.
Okay. Well, as you know, the township voted last meeting for me to go ahead and draft the necessary documents.
Oh, oh,
Get into the rest
visitors,
of
I'm
this.
sorry, Jeff, wrong.
I thought you were a little premature.
Got a little off there. Who else we have?
Jerry?
Albert.
You have anything to say?
No, I have not.
Nothing?
Christine Rock?
Yes, actually, I have 3 questions, but there's some background I need to share, and I wrote it up, so I'll make it as brief as I can. I witnessed something involving our township last week that was very, very alarming for me. So let me go chronologically to give the background. On February 22nd, 2013, Mary Ann Hubbard, one of our supervisors, submitted a right-to-know request for 2,521 copies, total of $630.25. I have copies of these requests, and it does not make sense to me, especially since some of the requests are copies of all the emails of the township secretary from August 2012 to the present. That's like a year and a half. No wonder there was 2,521 pages. My impression is this looks like a fishing expedition. I don't know. That's my impression. I don't understand it. But it goes on. Starting February 26, 2013, Ellen Gnandt, the former township treasurer, also submitted her first right-to-know request. On March 6, 2013, Greene Township meeting in our minutes records that Mary Ann Hubbard asked to be removed from her duties as the right-to-know alternate, which means she would no longer have any responsibility to make any copies, because this is quite a burden. On March 13, 2013, Mary Ann Hubbard filed an appeal with the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Pennsylvania Office of Open Records. On April 25th, 2013, the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records denied Mary Ann Hubbard's appeal. So my understanding is this bill is still outstanding. Also, for this situation, I have public record copies of that for this situation. Mary Ann Hubbard has an attorney named Marshall Anders who is in Stroudsburg. So my question for this, and I'm going to repeat it at the end because there's more, is what is the status of this right-to-know request? Outstanding bill. The next thing that happened that was adds to my alarming state is that on January 27th, 2014, Ellen Gnandt, the former township treasurer, had a Pike County lawsuit that she had filed as a plaintiff, docket 1347-2013, with Marshall Anders as her attorney. This is all public record. Ellen is the plaintiff in this lawsuit. Greene Township and the supervisors, Ed Simon, Gary Carlton, and Mary Ann Hubbard, are the defendants. This is referencing a financial audit. On February 24th, 2014, last Monday, Ellen Gnandt had her second Pike County lawsuit, docket 1241-2013, with Marshall Anders as her attorney. Ellen is the plaintiff, and Greene Township and the supervisors, Ed Simon, Gary Carlton, and Mary Ann Hubbard, are the defendants. This is what was alarming for me. I had things to do in Milford last Monday, so I attended this hearing. I have done this before with hearings for Greene Township. I have also gone to the courthouse and looked up things because I like to be as informed as I can be, and I also share this with my neighbors, other residents. What I witnessed during the whole entire court proceeding was Ellen Gnandt, the plaintiff, sitting side by side with Mary Ann Hubbard, the defendant. This was shocking and alarming and confusing. Also, Attorney Anders at one point did speak to Ellen in the courtroom with Mary Ann Hubbard sitting next to her. All this was witnessed not just by me, but also the judge, the courthouse staff, the courthouse security, the Greene Township attorneys Gonzalez and Crotty out of Chester County, The last time I ever experienced something like this, where I was educated on scenarios where a plaintiff and a defendant are friendly, but yet they're involved in a lawsuit. My experience with something else, another lawsuit, was something that was called a collusive lawsuit. So this makes me really wonder what is going on, and I'm very, very concerned. So my question is, this is my second question, is this ethical behavior for a Pennsylvania Township Supervisor to be so friendly enough to be sitting next to a whole court hearing with the plaintiff who's suing her and the township and the other supervisors? And is there any course of actions that can be done to remedy this situation and this public display? It's just very alarming. So that's my second question. And my third question is, I've been monitoring our remaining funds in our township, and I see tonight we were able to get the printout for the remaining funds in our general fund assets. And I see that in 2009, February 28th, our remaining funds was $34,834.44. But it looks like we also borrowed $50,000 right before that. The next year, February 28th, 2010, our remaining funds was $23,716.96. February 28th, 2011, our remaining fund was $97,875.34. February 29th, 2012, our remaining fund was $188,295.37. February 28th, 2013, our remaining funds was $276,945.87. And now, February 28th, 2014, our remaining funds are $362,907.22. And so this leads to my third question. How can this be explained, how we had so little money left over and then such a great increase, especially this last year, since Ed Simon is now the chairperson and Mary Ann Hubbard is no longer the chairperson. And the last thing I'd like to say, and if you want I can repeat my three questions. This is not easy for me to do this, and from my heart, what I really want to say to our township and anyone else who becomes aware of what I'm sharing is I really hope that people in the township and the county and the state, I really hope, please pray for our township, because something's going on that doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Okay, well, the first question I can answer, because obviously it deals with the status of the outstanding invoice for the right to know, to which Mary Ann Hubbard submitted a request, to which we submitted the bill, and of course we asked her to pay it on the basis that she is an individual and that when she made the request, not as a supervisor. She declined to pay that. Obviously then I requested the board to make some decision. The board authorized a magistrate's complaint to be filed, and the board voted on it. It was a 2-to-1 vote, obviously. I filed the complaint. The complaint, I believe, has been served on Mary Ann Hubbard. A hearing date either set or to be set. I can't answer that because I'm not looking for it.
April the 17th, I believe.
And I'm assuming at that point, the local magistrate will make that decision. The second question you have is really not a question for me to answer. It doesn't require an opinion of myself because it's not a solicitor's matter. It's certainly a proper question and one to which anyone on the board may want to answer. Third question, you'll have to refresh my recollection.
Township funds.
Township funds, again, that's not an opinion of a solicitor, but to the board. And of course, I think those numbers that you're talking about are familiar with the board and others like myself who noticed the same thing. It's quite obvious. So I think the second and third, obviously, if the board members want to say anything individually, you don't have to. But, and Mary Ann, maybe you want to say something. I
I have no comment because of litigation.
But I would say this, there are three very good questions, and hopefully I've answered the first one. The second and the third, I think, are not legal questions, but one ethical, and that one's probably more of a, why is there so much money now and there wasn't before? You know? say Mr. Simons is an excellent chairperson. Well, I don't know that we have got a lot more money in, and I don't monitor our expenses, so
So
I
they haven't
can't really
raised
say
taxes
that.
at all.
But, I mean, if we had adopted an income tax or something, I could say, well, that's why we got so much money with it. But I don't have any reasonable explanation for it.
And I have nothing to say on this.
That's certainly within
And
everybody's.
it's been a really expensive winter too, so
Yeah.
they're still doing all right.
But I would commend the board for having money when, in fact, other townships are starting to be drained, municipalities because of that, so. Certainly worthy of notation.
Anything else, Mr. Brown?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John?
No, I had some of the questions that Ms. Rock had. I mean, I saw them that day there, and I also wondered why are they together? If there is a court proceeding going on.
Is there a law against it?
No,
Okay.
I'm just making a comment. I'm not talking to you. And I am concerned about these funds. It is quite amazing. It's mind-boggling, actually. Mind-boggling in today's economy, in today's situation, that our figures could be like that.
The only thing I'll say to that is, it shows that if you put a little change in things, you can definitely change the way the horses are going down the road. Steer them in the right direction.
Anything else? John?
No, sir, thank you.
Cheryl?
Nothing.
Heather?
Just here.
Ellen?
Nothing.
Donnie?
I just, came for number one, which you're gonna go over later.
Right now, we're gonna go over it.
Okay,
First one
is the letter of response,
Yeah.
finally issued by our attorney, which I signed
Okay.
also.
Sewage
The other thing,
complaint.
Since you're talking to me, next Monday and Tuesday, I will not be here. I'm gonna put a sign on my door because I'll be down at the conference.
You talked to what you call him, Cheryl?
Who?
Lady down in,
She'll be there too. There's no sewage officer gonna
Okay.
be around.
nobody has problems that day.
Well, it was actually, it's on, I did look for that
Yeah.
here.
Okay. Jeff?
Okay.
Sewage complaint.
All right, as you know, the board authorized me to proceed with a complaint based upon our sewer enforcement officers' actions and inquiries and concerns, and obviously his formal request for us to take some action. So I did prepare a complaint. I forwarded it on to the sewer enforcement officer for his review. He signed the verification. Before I can actually complete it, I had to order a title search to verify they own it, to verify who the bank is. I would say to you, I just got that in, so I can fill in the blanks and then file it the next day or so. But the mortgage has been assigned multiple times, once, twice, 3 times. So I gotta go, the bank I name has gotta be the latest one, which is, changed multiple times. So what I'm gonna do is file this, again, with the courts of the, board's blessing, and then it'll be served by the sheriff on them and the bank. And it specifically addresses the issues of a system that is failing in the opinion of and the visual observation of our sewer enforcement officer and a third party who brought it to our attention to begin with. And it's asking for relief in the form of injunctive relief. And the injunctive relief is pursuant to the Pennsylvania Sewerage Facilities Act, which clearly gives us the authority to proceed. And it's also piggybacked on the Clean Streams Act, which again gives the township through its solicitor the opportunity and the right to seek relief and injunction. So what I'm looking for from the court would be an order to pump the septic tanks on a routine basis as needed until a temporary holding tank is installed. B, pump the holding tank on a routine basis as needed until a permanent abatement plan is implemented. C, transport all the pumped sewage effluent to an appropriate and licensed treatment facility until a permanent abatement plan is implemented. The drafting and submission and implementation of a new on-site sewage system to accommodate the effluent discharge generated by the defendant's residents, to pay all the enforcement costs, including the out-of-pocket expenses of the township for wages and expense of our sewer enforcement officer, legal costs associated with it, including my fees as solicitor, and such other relief as the court would be deemed appropriate. So in essence, it would abate the threat to the waters while they try to figure out what their solution's gonna be. And it gets expensive when you gotta pump and transport. And if you note, I put in there, transfer to an appropriate licensed treatment
Right.
facility,
Right.
because I had the experience where it was being transported, but that wasn't abating
Right.
anything, that's just moving it from point A to point B. So, and to implement that, they have to have the receipts, okay, of a licensed person for Donnie to monitor and keep track of it, okay? And then they need to come up with a system. Now, obviously, if they don't come up with a system, then at some point, the court could order them to vacate. I'm not asking that, that's why I leave it as a further relief, but they need to take care of it, they need to take, be serious about it, because the last letter they sent to me as a solicitor was basically a recapitulation to the sewer enforcement officer in a prior correspondence, said, listen, we appreciate your concern, but we really don't have a problem, which obviously defies what Mr. Nicholson observed, and I did speak to the third party, and he verified, for my peace of mind, that he in fact saw the same thing, which is why he brought it to our attention to begin with. So I'm gonna go ahead and file that. I will let you know the filing costs and all that, just fax it down.
Jeff, who sets the time element on that now?
Well, I file it as soon as it's served, okay?
Right.
At that point, once it's served, then I'm assuming the sheriff can find them, both relatively quick.
But do they have it after they
They have
serve the
20
papers?
days to
Okay.
file an answer, in theory 30 if you figure the 10. But I'm gonna be moving forward, the next step would be a preliminary injunction, basically asking the pumping go into effect, because spring is gonna be here in a few months. Right now, obviously, the ground is frozen, one couldn't see anything or detect anything. If Donnie needs to get on the property to be able to observe it without his fear of being accused of trespassing unwantedly, then I can get a court order for him for purposes of visually inspecting it, to proceed accordingly. So, again, how cooperative they are and what they wanna do will be up to them and their counsel. I mean, clearly, they can work it out, it can be easily worked out if they want to. This is not the route we wanted to go, obviously, we sent not one, but multiple letters, including my letter, to which got no response, other than what I just said.
It's not a good time of the year because it's supposed to snow right now. Of course, nothing's happening because you can't see it. And to top that off, they covered it up before the snow came. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
And it's my understanding that the sewage effluent, to the best of anybody's knowledge, including the person that brought it to our attention, hasn't reached the creek or stream or water of the lake. But obviously it's there, and what happens when water runs downhill. So it needs to be taken care of, addressed now before it gets out of hand, and where there's actual pollution.
That's been a couple of years now since that's been going on.
Started in 2010,
Okay, there you are.
And
and they got that, they worked their way through that, which I showed you those things at the last meeting. Now they're doing the same thing all over again, and they're playing the township and me, for their own behalf, and it's not gonna work.
Okay.
I should note this, Donnie did ask me to call, and I did, Bob Corby of DEP, and I gave him a courtesy advice as to what we're doing. I'm going to copy him, but more importantly, I have to actually notify the Attorney General's office as part of the requirement. So that will be obviously part of my function, but it won't be a surprise to them because Mr. Corby already knows about
You satisfied now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully everything goes smoothly, I don't think it's going to, but
I know.
at least we're
At least you
starting.
gotta start now.
it. And I think I told the board last time, I just went through this whole experience in another township only in the last year or two, so the procedure is pretty obvious as to what we have to do and how it's gonna handle, and how they react is up to them.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. Go ahead and do everything.
All right.
We have another one now, Mrs. Siegfried.
Yes.
Cul-de-sacs.
We sent the letter,
Yeah.
obviously, I heard nothing back, I don't imagine the board knows what's under the snow.
They haven't done nothing.
I would assume that, I'm assuming in the spring you can verify that, and then we will have to proceed accordingly. But I got no response, I didn't receive anything from Mike Walker, I didn't receive anything from them saying that we did, we're going to, we're not going to, or anything, so.
Should we wait till?
My suggestion, wait till spring to see what's under the snow,
Okay.
because honestly, right now, we don't know.
Okay.
And then I was asked by the board, actually Mary Ann, and the board authorized it, to take a look at the Township Code 606 dealing with compensation of supervisors. So I went through it, read the case law on it. When you read it the first time, it sounds like Greek. You read it the second time, it sounds somewhat like English. Finally, you do the case law, and I think this is exactly what the statute is intended to mean. Okay, any change in salary compensation of an elected officer becomes effective at the beginning of the term of the next term of the supervisor. And that, the operative word is any change in salary compensation, compensation meaning insurance can be part of that, will be effective at the beginning of the next term. Now, Mary Ann requested that I look at the whole ordinance, and I did, because it does state in there that supervisors, whether or not they're employed by the township, are eligible for group health insurance plans paid in whole or part by the township. So I think, Mary Ann, to answer your question, if the township previously, before you were elected, paid or compensated a non-working employee with health benefits, then you can get them now. But if they, and I don't know the answer to this, only you guys do, if the township non-working supervisors in the past didn't receive health benefits, either because it wasn't any to be eligible for, then by enacting them now, you can't get them until your next term. And I looked up the reason why, and the reason's obvious. Since the Board of Auditors does not approve it, the board is approving compensation for themselves. And a board cannot approve compensation for themselves during the effective term until the new term of a new board, whether they be part of the new board or not. So the answer to the question of whether you get them now is if you or anyone else was a non-working employee in the past, were you allowed to get that per the board's decision. So I don't know the answer to that, because I don't know whether you guys gave insurance coverage to non-working supervisors in the past. But if you did, she can get them now. But if you didn't, she's got to wait, because in essence this board is creating new compensation in this term, which under that statute A, you can't get. Did I kind of make that clear?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying,
Right.
but it'll be addressed. I know what you told Marshall, so I just need to get a copy of your letter to give it to him.
And I mean, I did give this a great deal of consideration, because obviously it's important to you as a supervisor that you get help.
But now I did have vision before.
But were you a non-working supervisor or a working supervisor?
I took, well, I would have to go back those years to find out.
Because again, it
Way
really,
back when.
really boils down to, was there a non-working supervisor, and I don't necessarily mean you, in a prior term that got health benefits? And if they did, then obviously the board approved it. Then in essence, you are being treated the same as that prior member was, and therefore it was available, and now it's available for you. But if it's being created for the first time for a non-working supervisor, because the Board of Auditors doesn't address that, they address working supervisors, then unfortunately for you, because you're part of this board making that decision to enact it now, you nor any of the others that they chose to be non-working could get it until their new term starts.
All right, if you can just give me a
So,
copy.
get on with it, you know. And that's my reading of it. I gave it a lot of thought. I think I'm right, but I am human like everyone else.
Okay.
And the statute, when you read it and you read it and you read it, I think that's what they meant. Any change in salary compensation, okay, of an elected officer becomes effective at the beginning of the next term. Now, if it's not a change, then you get it. That's why the paragraph you read makes sense, because they can't discriminate by saying one non-working employee gets it and another non-working employee can't do it. It says, no, the class gets it.
Right.
So if you were non-working and they said, oh, you don't get it, but Ed who's non-working gets it, you can't do that. All right, that's the section you were saying. So I got copies of them.
Okay, the thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, we voted to give the tax collector an increase, and we all agreed it, but I don't think we did it appropriately according to the tax collection law. So we need to address it, and it comes under 36(1). It's supposed to be done by ordinance or resolution, and it can't be done during their term. It has to be done February 15th prior to the municipal election.
So you're reading 3601 of the code.
No, 36.1, 36.1. Now, not the township code,
Which
taxing code.
Taxing code.
tax collection code.
Can I ask one real quick question? Didn't she get cut down one year and then cut down another year? And that was, didn't she start out at 5%, John? And she got cut to 4%? And then she got cut to 3%. Was that at the beginning of her elected time?
No, it was not.
Okay, then,
So that,
I don't know, I
then it
just,
was done illegal, she should have all the way back to 5 then.
Alright, so
I
what,
just bring this to
at the
attention.
meeting, the reorganization meeting, a motion was made, I'm assuming,
yep,
to do it.
and
It
we
was
all
done
favored
then.
it, and
Okay.
I'm not,
Right.
I'm just
So it's not
questioning.
whether or not she should get it, it's
Right.
whether or not it was properly done, is
Right.
the issue, okay?
And the other question I have on that then is, in 2 consecutive years, it was done before I got here, but when I looked up some stuff there, it looked like when she took over the tax collector deal after John went on to the treasurer, the following year, she got cut down to 4%.
And how was it reduced though?
That.
I don't remember.
Because it was reduced by a motion, then the motion is ineffective, then quite frankly, she gets
Well, I
what she had
just-
before.
That could well be.
Right. So in
That could well be.
essence,
Yeah, they cut her down from 5 to 4, the following year they cut her to 4 to 3.
yeah.
And that
So
wasn't
you
anything
just
to do
need
with
a-
election.
So the bottom line is you can't raise it without raising it appropriately, you can't decrease it
Right,
without
so they
decreasing it
made the
appropriately.
mistakes all the way back
Right.
then.
So,
So
you
it
know,
could well be.
you need to give me a little more, history on the
Could well be.
past. But I'll pull the tax code out and we'll vote.
But remember, chairman only takes over
Oh, I
the
just,
meetings,
well,
it's
you
not.
should've, you should've remembered it, I would've remembered if I cut somebody's salary twice in a row.
And it was done twice.
Yep, it was done 2 years in a row.
So I think
For budget restraints.
Right.
if it's done, it needs to be taken
Okay.
care of, whatever needs to be done. If it
All
was
right, well,
wrong,
I will
Then it
pull the
needs to
tax
be
code out
addressed.
and give you an opinion as to how it should be done. And then this board can decide what should be done.
right.
And that's-
and how it was done.
Yeah, and whether or not in the past it was done right.
Okay. And I have one more thing, but it's in the bottom part, but I don't know if you're staying for the whole meeting, Jeff.
are you staying?
Okay.
Depends on how fast it goes.
And that's on a solid waste complaint.
Okay.
Okay, I did go out to the property. It definitely is a violation. The person who owns the property lives in Orlando, Florida, and according to the internet, it's in the process of foreclosure. What do we do?
What's the nature of the solid waste? Is it something?
Actually, people dump bags of garbage there, and since it's on top of the snow, it had to be fairly, within 7 days it was
Yeah,
done?
It's in the last 3 or 4 days.
If the property's in foreclosure, they may very well abandon it or give up on it.
So do we go to-
chasing our tail.
No, you can't go to the bank or anything.
Right, you could, but, you know, if the bank is in possession of it, they're gonna argue we're not in possession, we're just a lender. Until the bank does the foreclosure and actually gets a deed, then they're in possession.
It's been about 2 years now. That's nobody's been in that house.
Yeah. The question then would come, are they gonna do a foreclosure, or just
How do you-
stalled, or they abandon?
You have to
the
find that
property?
out, or can we find that out?
Which orders a bring down on it?
Pardon me?
You order a bring down search again, for the courthouse records to determine who owns it, who's the mortgagee, what the
Find-
status of the mortgage
Find out
is.
who paid the taxes, find out
Where
where
the
the taxes.
taxes
That
are
I
paid.
have,
Did they pay the taxes?
But if you fax up.
14 didn't have any writing on it.
But 13 was paid?
13 I thought was, but then maybe the bank was paying them, I don't
That could
know.
have been a bank thing.
Well, if the bank's paying them, then they would probably take responsibility for the garbage.
Well, let me put it this way, it depends on who the bank is too. If it's in San Juan, they may not want
Yeah.
anything to do with it, so.
But the
If you-
person's address is Orlando,
If you
Florida.
send me the address, the property number, the whole 9 yards,
Yeah,
at least I can send a letter to them saying, you know, this is on your property, you need to clean it up under our ordinance. And if they have any concern to keep the property, then they'll probably address it. But if they've abandoned it, we'll probably never hear from them. You know,
there's no online search to see what those foreclosures are, right? Cause the last time I called, they told me I have to come down and go through the list.
They haven't reached that point,
Yeah, they backed in last summer and dumped it, sofa, chairs and everything off.
well, you know, that happens quite a few.
Yeah.
People figure it's abandoned, they think they'll get away with it.
Okay, so get the information to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, It's not the first one I've had where that's happened.
Okay,
That's all I had.
let's continue on. Stone bid.
Oh wait, did you guys have a road report or anything?
Snow,
Okay.
Snow. Ice, ice, ice.
cold. What more do you want?
Alright,
It's gonna be 105 degrees tomorrow,
sometimes
somewhere.
you have
Oh, yeah, we did that.
Alright, stone bid, what do you got?
so,
I'd like to let a stone bid out for, to be opened in the next meeting, which will be April.
I'll make a motion that we advertise for
What's the
the
quantities?
stone.
Okay, 2A model, 2A,
Mhm.
2A,
1,500 ton.
15,
2RC, 3,500 ton. Drive-in surface aggregate, 4,000 ton. R5 riprap, 200 ton. R4 riprap, 200 ton. Number 3 stone, 100 ton. That includes dirt and gravel.
Okay, are we doing the aggregate, like they said we're supposed to be doing cinders in with the stones? Put the cinder bid in as part of the advertisement?
No, we're not advertising cinders.
I know that, but it said this, PennDOT said we're supposed to be doing all aggregate together, and they considered that aggregate, with that last training we had.
In other words, if you're using aggregate as a cinder, you're supposed to do it
Yeah,
as a
well,
cinder.
we're not.
We're not.
I don't know what you guys are. That's what you mean,
Red
right?
cinders.
No, they said all aggregate gets bid together. They
Right,
didn't
but-
say, they didn't say what you just said.
Right, well, do they consider cinder as an aggregate?
They did at that training we had.
I never heard of that.
I never heard of that.
I
Cinders is different from aggregate.
thought when they meant aggregate, what it meant the stone that you can use as a replacement.
Right,
for
no,
cinder.
they didn't say that.
No, I don't know.
Who said this now?
PennDOT, one of those trainings we were at.
Where?
Well,
Might
I
be
see,
black
I'd have to
waxen,
see
but
it
I'm not
black and
sure.
white, because I don't believe it. Cinders is not aggregate, never was.
I don't know the
So
answer.
we need to put the stone bid out, so we get it out, not, you know, like last year it got postponed because of some nonsense. So I make a motion, we put the bid out for the stone that we're gonna need.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that we put the stone bid out.
okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. So carried.
You have a date picked, open and all that?
Next meeting.
Next meeting, I said.
Yeah.
I missed that, I'm sorry.
Okay, continue on. Pike County Communications, what's that, Judy?
Okay, you got a letter from Pike County, you asked them, you had written a letter, you wanted to write a letter to them, and they replied. Thank you for your letter dated January 31st, explaining your vote for no change of ambulance services. Pike County is investigating a GPS locator system to work with our existing maps. However, it will not release the townships from still selecting a primary service as discussed at the meeting in October of 2013. Bernie's forward. Okay. Wanna read this one now too?
Complaint from Green Rear Fire Company.
Okay, this is, of course, they had sent it to us, but they sent one also to, Promised Land Fire and Ambulance. I am writing this letter to inform the Promised Land Volunteer Fire Company and the Greene Township Board of Supervisors about an incident that occurred on February the 5th, 2014, at approximately 3:15 PM at number 174 Hemlock Grove Road. The Green Dreher Volunteer Fire Association, along with Promised Land Ambulance, were dispatched to a motor vehicle accident involving 3 vehicles with 5 patients. Number 23 rescue arrived on location approaching north on Hemlock Grove Road and was impeded from getting to the accident scene by Sam Vanderweel, who was blocking the emergency lane with his personal vehicle. Upon the request of Don Shepard, Fire Police, asking Mr. Vanderweel to move his car from the emergency lane, he proceeded to shout obscenities at my fire police and driver Bill Laird on the rescue. This is not the first incident with Mr. Vanderbilt showing lack of respect for fire personnel and patients involved in MVAs. I hope that this individual is dealt with by Promised Land Volunteer Fire Company and Ambulance Company. I hope that the Greene Township Board of Supervisors will address this problem with the Promised Land Volunteer Fire and Ambulance Company. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Pete Mulcahy, Chief of the Green Township Volunteer Fire Association.
Do you wanna do anything with the Promised Land? Write him a letter and tell him
I don't know, Joe.
My suggestion would be is that you meet with them, discuss the merits of the letter, get their side, because obviously you received one side of the incident, their, side of the incident, their version of what happened, and then discuss how to resolve it. I mean, they should not be in this situation regardless of whether it was said or not said. They're clearly at odds over what they should be doing in a unified manner. So, I mean, maybe things were said, maybe they weren't, but I think the board member or whatever, the board itself, wants to just get down and talk to them.
I just hope somebody's life isn't in jeopardy because of their personalities. This is what it sounds like.
5 people.
So in other words, you're saying like, we should write a letter to Promised Land,
Well,
the chief, and ask him to meet with the
yeah,
board?
meet with the one or board or more or all of you, depending on what you guys wanna do and your schedules, and just, what is your response to this? I mean, A, it was done and said, or it wasn't done or said, or,
Or is he even a member?
Exactly.
We don't know.
Because, maybe everything he's saying is completely true, and maybe it's completely false, maybe it's somewhere in between. I mean,
I talked to Donald Shepherd myself,
and,
and he said that's what was said.
Well, then, I make a motion then that Judy writes the chief of Promised Land Fire Company to come and address the board. It doesn't have to be a meeting, and we can have just a private meeting, right?
yeah, this is not a,
Can you have a private meeting?
no, this is just to get their side.
Right.
No decision be made.
Right.
No decision.
Just you tell us what happened,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming that their leadership is gonna look into it after they get the letter and find out what happened.
Yeah.
Alright, and maybe there's a mea culpa and a resolution, maybe there's defiance, I don't know. But I've learned through the years that your version, the next person's version, and my version, they all are your interpretation of what you saw and heard. And you need to put them into some type of context and resolve it. Obviously, there's a problem, the vehicle's blocking the way, and
So write him a letter.
the response is not, I'll move it, or move it, it's whatever was said.
And maybe, maybe Promised Land has already taken some
Maybe
kind of
they
action.
did, maybe
Because they got the letter the same time we did.
Say maybe they did internal and they resolved it,
Right.
from an internal point. But the one thing that is obvious to me is respect. I mean, they've gotta have respect for each other.
Yeah.
Okay, disagreements occur, but you don't show disrespect to another person in any manner or form
Right.
with obscenities.
Okay. So you write him a letter.
So I make a motion, Judy writes the letter
Okay, your
to the
motion,
chief.
who's
I'll
second?
second it.
Ed second.
Okay.
Don, tax refund.
Yeah, this is what I was talking to Joe about. The Pike County did allow 1 year, he was requesting 2 years, tax refund. And they said that's up to you, you don't have to give him anything. If you give him 1 year, it'd be these two amounts added together, $59.51 plus $5.41 for 2013. That's what Pike County gave him in 2013.
$64.92.
So, but they said you guys have to vote on it, I guess, to
Yeah,
agree
you have to vote to do it.
Why is he asking for a refund?
Why?
Okay, here, the letter's in there somewhere.
I think
Well-
he removed something, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Normally, the procedure would be someone removes a trailer, tears down a building, they would notify the appropriate taxing authorities requesting a refund for the period to which they paid taxes, prospectively to which the building or improvement is no longer there. Now, if it was over 2 years, they failed in doing that. Now, whether the board wants to compromise and say, well, the 1 year, obviously, but to go back 2 years, probably under those circumstances would not
yeah,
be
Pike County just
fair or
said,
appropriate.
we'll let you go for a year, but.
Usually
she
it's
said
a
she
year
didn't have
up,
to.
not, you don't go back
Yeah.
2, 3.
Yeah.
Because
This
we
is
don't
the one
know
I'm
if
not
it's
sure
telling the
about
truth
that
or
one.
not, we don't know when you removed it.
I don't, is that something we need to add to?
What's your pleasure, Ben?
I think I'd go along with the county, give it back 1 year.
Make a motion to that.
I make a motion to give it back 1 year.
Refund 1 year.
Second.
Been regularly moved and seconded, that we give them 1 year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Okay, now how about Jeff's looking at this one?
These two were,
That's nothing?
apparently they removed a trailer and they're just asking the
So we don't have.
tax claim bureau to abate for the delinquent taxes based upon, we don't have to go there.
Okay.
Thanks.
We got our liquids